And all that good stuff. Hello, I'm Brenden Martin. No, I'm not Buddy Martin. He is on assignment for this entire week, so you're stuck with me, but that's okay because I got great guests. Shane Matthews sitting right now as we speak in the orange and blue room. Franz Beard sitting in the orange and blue room. They're going to be in just 1 second. I just want to make sure everyone, please hit the subscribe button down there on your bottom right-hand side. That way we can continue to bring this excellent content for you to your computer or phone for free and all of that good stuff. We're going to be talking basketball. We're going to be talking football. We're going to be talking potentially NCAA violation information, whatever, not that stuff. Maybe, maybe not. You never know on this show. Hang out. We'll be back right after this incredible open designed by me.
It's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so.
And there we are, the magic of YouTube and my broken headphone. I had it super glued. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you two of the smartest minds in football, as Franz Beard just said to one, Mr. Shane Matthews. Hello, Mr. Shane Matthews. We have never taken a snap in the NFL, and nor have we ever been a Florida Gator on the field. So how are you, Shane?
I'm doing well, guys. How are y'all?
Good. And then one, of course, Mr. Franz Beard, who is the Iron Duke, and you just don't need no introduction. Franz, how are you, sir?
Another day here in paradise, albeit a little bit on the chilly side. And goodness, Shane, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Let's start first off. I'm going to take you back 35 years, okay?
Here we go.
You're
Time machine.
You're here at Florida. You're buried on the depth chart. If there had been a transfer portal 35 years ago, what would you have done?
Well, to be honest with you, friends, after my first couple of years, I had talked to my parents about transferring to Ole Miss. My dad was a former player there. My mom was a cheerleader. I grew up in Ole Miss, in an Ole Miss family. But my parents basically said, no, you're going to graduate from the University of Florida. You know, we always had a rule in my house. Once you start something, you finish it. You know, regardless of what it is. So that's a good thing that they never signed me up for piano lessons or anything like that. But that was kind of a rule we kind of lived by. And so that's the true story. I did want to transfer back to Ole Miss.
What was it about Ole Miss that you liked back then? What was the allure for you?
Well, when I was started at age 5 playing flag football, I was at every Ole Miss game, in the locker room. I went to every Ole Miss football camp. Archie Manning would come to our house. I mean, he was my guy. So, you know, he was playing at the Saints at that time. But, you know, I knew all the Ole Miss quarterbacks, had pictures taken with them. You know, I was, like I said, I was in the locker room every Saturday as a kid. And just grew up going to all the games. You know, when your parents, you know, when your dad plays and your mom's a cheerleader, you're always there.
I'll give you an Ole Miss trivia question, Shane, since this. Besides Archie and Eli, who would you say is the third most famous Ole Miss quarterback? Well, you could say Charlie Connolly, but most people don't even know who Charlie Connolly was since it was so long ago. but who would you say is the third most well-known?
Jake Gibbs.
I'll throw one at you that may blow your mind, but more, I figured that's who you would say. How about Jim Weatherly?
That's way before my time there.
He was at the same time as Spurrier. Does the song Midnight Train to Georgia mean anything to you?
Hoo-hoo! That's the only part I know.
He became a Grammy Award-winning songwriter after his career at Ole Miss. He died recently, but he was an all-SEC quarterback before Spurrier. In fact, they played each other at each other. And I would, Jake Gibbs, you're right. From a standpoint of actually playing, Jake Gibbs would be the guy because he took Ole Miss to their one national championship in football. But
who would have thought we'd have Ole Miss trivia on this show tonight?
You got Franz on, dude. He's like the walking encyclopedia.
This is what happens when you spend 3 years in Macomb. I was on a radio show this morning with John Brady, another Macomb guy who ended up being the basketball coach at LSU at one point in time. But
I have a Brenden. I know you're going to know this, Franz, but I don't know if Brenden will.
No,
who is the greatest Florida Gator to come out of Macomb, Mississippi? Franz, do you know?
Of course, Carlisle.
Cooper Carlisle.
Cooper Carlisle. Wow. Ding, 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 ding.
He's the greatest and only, right?
Whose dad was the quarterback of the 1962 Texas national championship team. Duke Carlisle.
I think it was his granddad.
It might have been his granddad, but
yeah, his mom and dad are Ole Miss people.
Okay, Duke Carlisle was the quarterback of the 1962 Texas national championship team that beat Roger Staubach in the Cotton Bowl for the national championship.
Very true. So, I even knew that. I don't know how the hell you knew that, but I knew that.
Hey, when you live in Macomb, you're grasping for straws at somebody famous. Okay.
All right. Well, I mean,
right,
I'm sure this is burning up the airwaves right now, but I hate to break up the Macomb love fest, but I'm going to say, can we talk about some stuff here? Because I got some questions.
Let's talk about the transfer portal.
Is that where we want to go first? The dreaded transfer portal, I call it the dark portal. I just hate everything that's happening to college football right now. College sports in general. I'm just not. I just feel like we're watching this erosion. I don't know how you all feel about it. I haven't talked to y'all in a while, but it seems to not. It seems to be losing all of the goodness that once was.
Well, when the transfer portal and NIL came about, I absolutely hated it from day one. And I got blasted on my show for saying that. But it's the truth. It's ruined college athletics, in my opinion.
100%.
I don't mind kids having one time transfer, maybe not having to sit out, but being able to transfer every year and not have to sit out or any of that stuff. It's crazy. And the whole NIL thing is crazy. I've talked to multiple college coaches that are friends of mine at every level. And they say about 90-something% of the kids that transfer, it's because wherever they're going is offering more money than where they are.
Yeah.
It's all about money. It's all about money. And I get it. These kids might as well get it while they can, because only about 5% of them, if that, will have a chance to do this for a living, at the next level. But it's just, it's crazy. It's absolutely out of control with no rules and regulations. And I don't know if it's ever going to get any better.
Shane, you said the magic words here. No rules and regulations. And to me, that's typical of the NCAA. They get caught with their drawers down, getting nailed in the courts, as they always do. I think, what are they, 0 for 2,912 cases before the Supreme Court? Something like that. but they lost the NIL case before the Supreme Court, and they had no plan B. None whatsoever did they have. And so what do? They just throw it out there, and there are no rules and regulations. And it's almost like we're making up the rules as they go along. And then you just compound it with the idea that now they have said that it's open-ended free agency. Let me put it this way. When you were in the NFL, let's make a parallel here. When you were in the NFL and people, you were dealing with people who were free agents, you've had to deal with free agency yourself in the NFL, because were you 14 years in the NFL? Long.
Yeah, I was a free agent multiple times.
So, but if they'd had it where you could be a free agent every single year, you could just walk out and go anywhere you wanted, guys would have laughed at you, I think, wouldn't they? If they at the premise said, okay, I'm stuck here with say Washington, and I really would prefer to be on the whole in Cleveland or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's most of the time when you come into the NFL and you're drafted, you're gonna sign a contract where you're under contract with that team for at least 3 or 4 years, and then you have a new contract unless they cut you. If they release you, it's a whole new ball game. But it's basically free agency with no rules, where a kid can play wherever he wants year in and year out. And I just absolutely hate it. I think it's crazy. My question is, there is no loyalty. Nobody's going to convince me that any player is coming to a school these days and they're going to graduate and stay there 3 or 4 years. There's no way. When these kids are here for like a year and then they put all over Twitter, I'm a Gator for life, or I'm a Longhorn for life. No, you're not. You were here for a year. Nobody gives a damn anymore. Get out of here. So maybe I'm just old school, but
no, you're not.
I mean, what diploma are they going to put on their wall? What's DJ Ugalele, who's going to his 3rd school in 3 years? I mean, who is he actually like when he goes back for a reunion or whatever? I mean, I would feel so damn awkward knowing that I was only there for a few months. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Well, sorry, Franz. I'm just saying, I mean, isn't it one of the great things about college football that we grew up with is the fact that you had this, steeped loyalty for your school, that it meant something because, you were bought in, that you were there for 3 or 4 years, that you didn't really think about the transfer portal because you had to sit out, because it just wasn't an option. It just seems like that to me, that's where we're gutting it, right? That we're taking away the best part of what it is to be, it's not even loyalty, but just like, to want to play for this team. Like now you're not going to grow up thinking I'm going to be a Gator. Now you're going to grow up and be like, man, I'm going to make mine in college football. How much money can I get? How much, it's all about the, the me situation. And it's sort of, it's like ETN going to Georgia. You know what I mean? It's like it's like stuff like that. You just never would have heard of it, right? And I don't know. I just feel like that's where we're really going south in a lot of this way. And go ahead, Franz.
I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, college football. I was here for 5 years. We all lived together. Nowadays they're living all over the place. They did away with athletic dorms, I think, in '97, somewhere around there. But we have these reunions where you come back. Some of my closest friends, I mean, obviously are the football players. A lot of them are student managers. A lot of them are walk-ons. You don't have this kind of relationship when you're a professional athlete, because you got guys on teams that are 20 years old or 21, 22, and then you got 35, 36-year-olds. Guys have their families. You don't have that bond that you get in collegiate athletics. And it's kind of sad, quite honestly, that these kids are missing out on that, but it's their fault.
Here's the thing that, I'll throw it at you. Trey Mitchell, who is playing basketball at Kentucky now and is a fine basketball
He's
player.
played at multiple schools.
Yeah.
He's on his fourth school. He started out at UMass playing for Matt McCall, former Florida assistant, former Florida manager under Billy Donovan, who became an assistant coach. But Matt McCall, then he went to Texas and played at Texas. Then he went to West Virginia last year, and now he's at Kentucky. He's got a chance this year to play for a national championship at Kentucky, which he didn't have at UMass, Texas, or at West Virginia. But 4 schools in 4 years, and you're right. Who's he loyal to? Where is the loyalty? You guys you guys were hit with probation from stuff that happened even before any one of your teammates was one of your teammates. This happened with Jarvis Williams in 1985, I think it was, and they didn't hit Florida with the probation until your sophomore year, when y'all were the best team in the Southeastern Conference, bar none. Beat the crap out of everybody. Y'all lost to Tennessee up there, but if the game had been played on neutral site or in Gainesville, we know who would have won that ball game. But the best record in the SEC, just the same. And, you know, think about that. I mean, you guys went through probation. You stuck together. You end up the next year winning the first SEC championship in history. And that's a bond you guys share that nobody else can say that. Nobody else but you guys can say you were on the first SEC championship team at Florida. But had there been free agency when the probation came out, how many guys would have left?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's just hard to believe how, my kid being on the team for 2 or 3 years, it was just different then. Because like I said, my best friends, I keep in touch with a few NFL guys. I mean, think about that, friends. I played 14 years. So obviously that's a lot of people you meet on a lot of different teams, but I rarely keep in contact with any of them because it all goes back to your collegiate days.
Yeah, but you and Eric Redd stay in touch.
Oh yeah, Rhett, Jerry Odom. I mean, Tony Rowell, Cal Dixon. I see Terrence Barber. Obviously, here's the thing is, I didn't even play with them, but I'm always in touch with Quezzy, Riedel, obviously Danny. I was with Danny 1 year. He's a very good friend of mine. Cresser. Now, Cresser transferred because Coach basically told him he needed to transfer to go play. And that's a different story. And he went and won a national title. Yeah,
same year that Danny wins it, Cresser wins it in D1AA at Marshall. And Spurrier told him to please transfer so he could have a chance to show off for the NFL scouts.
Yep.
I mean,
and
Steve
he got about 4 or 5 years in.
Yeah, Steve was doing the right thing. And this is a part that I don't think people get is I think the portal and the NIL money combined have taken away coaches' ability to do the right thing. Would you agree with that?
When you say the right thing, I'm not sure. What do you mean by that?
What's the right thing?
The right thing is to encourage a kid to stay, encourage a kid to go, etc. Like that, and do it for the good of the kid instead of, okay, we got to do it because we've got to free up money for NIL money, or we got to free up a scholarship because we got X number of transfers coming in.
Well, I think it's giving coaches an opportunity to basically cut kids.
That's what I mean.
Back in our day, when you gave a kid a scholarship. Now scholarships are year to year, but it was pretty much a handshake saying you're here till you graduate or go pro. Because if you basically took a kid's scholarship away, you wouldn't be able to recruit that kid's high school or that area because you just don't do that. Well, nowadays in your exit meetings, coaches can basically say, look, man, we got this guy, and this guy at your position that we feel really good about. You can still stay and compete, but I'm not sure you're going to have any playing time. That's the way they basically say, we don't want you anymore.
Yeah, I think I just worded it improperly there, but I think that's what I was saying. Coaches doing the right thing meant that we stuck with you back in the day. Coaches nowadays come in there, and some of them, the coaches that do it more, I would say, closer to the right way, do it as you say. Well, you can stay, but you're not going to play. Whereas you've got coaches, and I know it's a fact, who come in there and tell kids, you have no chance you're ever going to play here. None whatsoever. I would encourage you to go someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, don't you think it's just changed coaching as a whole? I mean, look, without, digging too deep in it, but just sort of the obvious stuff here. It's like, well, if I'm a coach now and I go, a kid can just transfer whenever they want. You got to play this, I want to be tough and push this guy and be this, sort of old school aggressive, a la, Urban Meyer and a million other coaches, like, you got to earn it, got to grind it, got to learn, got to break them down and build them up. These kids now that, they don't like that. I'm out, I want to go somewhere else, so I feel like that's gotta, a coach wants to win, right? That's their job, is to win or they're out. So it feels like to me that you're gonna, maybe you're back off a little bit. Maybe you're not so harsh. Maybe you're a little bit more of a softer coach. Like, so do you guys think that that's even a thing, or you think, because look, Saban's out. I don't think he knows how to coach. Urban Meyer says, I don't ever want to come back because I don't know how to coach these guys. Like, I don't know how to deal with that stuff. Is you think that's something that's a viable sort of opinion?
No, I think kids are soft these days.
No question.
I'm in the sporting goods business, so I deal with a lot of high school coaches, and I was with a high school coach last week who played for Mickey Andrews at Florida State.
Oh,
yeah. And he was saying that, could you imagine in today's world, if Mickey was still coaching, as much as he got up in kids' face, cussed them and chewed them out and all that, those kids would be like going into the transfer portal.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to handle it.
No.
Mickey was here at Florida before he was ever at FSU. In fact, he was here in 83 and then went to FSU in 84. He got out just ahead of the NCAA probation that came on with Charlie in 84. I wrote about this today, and I'll throw this at you. Can you trust the NCAA? In 1984, the NCAA threatened Florida with the death penalty if they didn't fire Charlie Pell. Florida quivered. Marshall Kreiser accepted their deal. I still think it was the cowardly thing to do. But they were intimidated and they fired him. You look at what's going on with Michigan right now. Michigan is basically saying to the NCAA, we will stand by our man, just as Kansas stood by Bill Self. And what they're saying is, if you choose to go after our coach, we will go to court against you. And the NCAA has a history of losing in a big way in court. Can you trust the NCAA, however, if they say to Florida, well, with this deal with Rashada over the NIL money, etc., like that, even though no money actually changed hands, and we're dealing in a very gray area because there was no money changing hands, does Florida trust the NCAA? Shane, you were here in a time when the NCAA came forward, and this is allegedly over $60. A $60 child support payment that Galen Hall paid out of his pocket. And Jarvis Williams' mother came to Gainesville the next morning and wrote a check to Galen Hall for the $60. Would you trust the NCAA if the NCAA says to Florida, we'll go real light with you, but you got to do this, you got to do that, and you got to do something else? Would you trust them?
No, I mean, we might as well fight them just like Kansas and like Kentucky and everybody else does. I'm a big college basketball fan, and Mike Morgan was on my show today, and we were talking about the big 7'2" kid, Big Z, they call him, from Croatia.
Yeah.
They haven't let the kid play all year long, and then they finally let him play last Saturday. But the NCAA sent him an email saying we now approve him being eligible to play. I mean, the NCAA is a joke. So I don't know what's going to happen. This whole Rashada thing to me is bizarre anyway, because I'm embarrassed that we even offered that kid that kind of money.
Oh man,
somebody did, because you better be damn good. And I mean, there's a lot of guys in the National Football League that are professionals that have done it at a high level that don't make that kind of money.
No.
I was very embarrassed when I heard about the dollar amounts.
Yeah, and I think we were close to that whole story as we were part of breaking that story, but it was just totally an unfortunate deal, because it's like the first, it was like that was like the dueling billionaires, out there where they were trying to insert themselves in their big money and get their name, and I've got all this and that. Unfortunately now, and to go along with your question, Franz, in my opinion, I pose the question back to you, is that, how can you trust the NCAA right now? Because I feel like they're looking to make examples, right, to somehow police something that was so confusing, even state to state. It was confusing for a while of what the rules were and what they weren't. And this whole like sidebar collective deal, which is probably the worst design, for this entire process if possible, because now you've got, independent parties jumping in and all that kind of stuff, because it was such a big dollar amount. Do you feel like that if you don't trust the NCAA, which is what I'm saying, do you feel like that they may be looking to go on a witch hunt here to somehow justify their crap rules or whatever they put forth to somehow make something that was already difficult even more impossible?
I think because of the dollar amount that was out there, and there's
because
no
it's
question.
but it really was about 13 million. I mean, it really came down to like the $300,000, right? I mean, it really came down because that wasn't what was paid to Mr. Mom and Pa Rashada and all that kind of stuff. Because
no, it wasn't.
They couldn't find that money.
There was an original offer on the table for $13.8 million.
Yeah,
there was an original offer there.
And half that went to pay off the guy in Miami, right? Because he was posted up $6 million initially. That's what that was the initial understanding. So it was really a $6 million deal that was supposed to go to him, with the $300,000 signing bonus, which the collective at the time didn't have to pay. They didn't have the money.
But see, here's the thing. Here's my point. No money ever changed hands. But
nothing,
because of the fact that there was a $13.8 million tag on this. This has become the big target for the NCAA to make. This is why I don't trust them, because I believe that they're going to look at this as Florida, and they're going to say $13.8 million. We go after them. They become the example, the whipping boy, to get everybody else in line.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. Shane, would you agree or disagree with that?
I mean, I really don't know what to think about it, because the NCAA has nothing to do with NIL, do they?
Allegedly, they do.
Yeah. Oversight.
And I say allegedly because they have.
Well, they get to say what the schools.
They don't have rules. They have what are considered guidelines. Let's just put it this way.
Well, and what the schools can how they can and can't be involved. That's their only level of policing any of this, right? So saying, well, the universities can't be involved in the decision making about how much money, where it comes from, or any of that stuff, right? I mean, that's where it stops, right? Allegedly, I think Shan's right. Don't you think, Franz?
Yeah, I think so. This is what the whole thing centers around. The NCAA is using broad strokes here to deal with something that is a total gray area. And they feel they can get away with it because there are no real set rules. So they can basically say, we're making this up as we go along. And because you are a member school, you got to pay attention to what we're doing.
Well, and again, that could be as clear as mud. I mean, truly. And it's like, how does one not know about the other and all that stuff? And I think it's unfortunate because, grumblings about all of this, in the world that we live in, we're kind of went back, as I heard it, even during the season, that this might be a thing or might not. Now this comes out. I think it's unfortunate timing for, Billy, and sort of they've hit a little bit of the stride with Grimsley now and some good recruits coming in and starting to, formulate a few things. Hopefully that doesn't affect the Gators because, you want to see them, continue to build the program and have success there, especially in recruiting. I don't think it's going to be, I hope it's a slap on the wrist. We don't even know what to think. I have someone I know very well, has been in trial law and everything else. And she says, by the time we release anything to the media, we already know what we have on you, and we're just telling you just to give you time to go get some lawyers so you can get a good plea deal in. So, you just don't know what they're going to say. I don't know when it's going to come down the line or not. And I think it's unfortunate, and hopefully it won't be a big deal because, they got to have some understanding here that this whole thing is new to everybody and everyone's trying to figure it out. So, hey, Shane, I don't want to keep you longer than you were. I promised you we'd get you out of here by 9:30. What do you got on your show tomorrow? Anything you want to promote for tomorrow's show on Pod Up with Shane Matthews?
Franz is actually going to step in for Buddy tomorrow on my program.
Oh, nice.
I got a couple of people waiting to hear back to see who my other guest is. But I appreciate y'all having me on.
Thanks for your time, Shane. Always a pleasure. You have a great night.
You got me as long as you need me tomorrow, Shane.
All right. See you, fellas.
All right, guys. Shane Matthews, everybody. Always a pleasure. Franz, I wanted to play this clip. It's a little bit long, but it's with Urban and Buddy from the last show where Urban's talking about the transfer portal and all the things that we okay. So I thought let's roll that in really quick. This is Buddy Martin last Friday with Urban Meyer talking about NIL and transfer portal. And, excuse the audio. We boosted it as best we could. It's not that great. Urban's got some interesting things to say here. I'm going to try to pick it up in the middle. It's a little bit lengthy, but this is from last Friday on Best Fridays in Football with Urban Meyer and Buddy Martin. I wasn't on this show, probably sleeping.
And unfortunately, Buddy, the deals, there are some major deals, but when you start talking about 10, 15, even 20, 25, $30,000 for a college student, and there may be, changing schools, giving up networking, maybe getting a less prestigious degree. Those are the concerns I have. Also, when programs are now saving scholarships for simply transfer portal players, that leaves a lot of high school players without scholarships. So the residual effect of this is, it's mounting. Like you said, there's a bunch of there's over 1,000 players still in that transfer portal without a place to go, is what I was told. And you imagine being the parent of that player or an agent representing that player who encouraged them to transfer, and now they're left without a place to go. So there's a lot of residual that effects of these new rules, but there's also some great stuff that's happening. That the fact that the players deserve to get paid name and likeness. Absolutely. It's called capitalism. It's called the American way. But the cheating that's gone on with just I think it's called collectives, where just people give money and they give out the money to players for pay per play. But I'm still trying to put my hand around that one. Like, how is that legal? And I think Florida State is in trouble with it. But from my understanding is, the old everybody does it. Everybody does do that.
All right, that was Urban Meyer and Buddy Martin last week. Franz, what's your response to what he has to say? I thought he had an interesting angle, and we're going to bring in Loren Meadows here, as he just got home from women's basketball. Hey, Loren, how are you? Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining the show. We just got off with Shane Matthews. Franz, give me your comment, and then we're going to hit Meldon Law commercial really quick, because we are on Meldon Law Monday, and we always appreciate their support on this Monday. Go ahead, Franz.
Well, he made a point. Kids now are leaving a place where they can get a degree that means something. For example, a degree from the Ohio State University. It is
he got an Ohio guy here, right? The.
Oh, what is it?
I don't know. It's just like, I feel like I'm at fish school at A&M. I don't know all that stuff. That shit's weird. It's all goofy.
But here's the thing. He's right. Kids are transferring from places where there is actually a meaningful degree. A degree from the University of Florida carries weight. I taught high school English in Taiwan. I taught a couple of years at a university in Korea. And here's what I know. A degree from the University of Florida is recognized anywhere you go in the world. It is
especially now.
It is a prestigious university that people know it, and people believe that if you went to school there, that you are intelligent, that they think it, whether it's true or not. I may have defied that thought.
It was another time, Franz.
Yes, it was.
Professor Franz. I want if I'm going to have a professor in Korea or Thailand, I want Franz Beard.
Hey,
no doubt.
I'll tell you what, I taught English with a Southern accent, and they know the first word we put on the board. Y'all.
Florida Gators.
No, day one in both Taiwan and in Korea, the first word on the blackboard was y'all. Learn this word.
Oh my God.
Because it is the single most important word in the English language. And I still hold by that. It is true. But here's the thing. A degree from UF means something, okay? A degree from Western Walla Walla School of Plumbing and Bricklaying, whereas
Sisters of the Blind and Poor,
where it may get you a very good job and have meaning in Western Walla Walla, Washington, does not carry the same importance that degree from Ohio State or Florida or someplace like that will have in the real world, outside of your particular area. It's like this. I was once a sports editor in Hammond, Louisiana. A degree from Southeastern Louisiana University means a lot in Southeastern Louisiana. You get outside of the state of Louisiana, though, and people say, where's that school?
What are you,
do they even have a football team?
No, they don't.
People ask that question.
Well, Franz, I'm going to stop you right there, because we're real quick. We're going to hit this break, and we're going to come back. We're going to hear about what Loren Meadows. You just got back from the basketball, right, lady?
Women's basketball, yeah.
We're going to talk a little basketball with two basketball guys that we have on right now, because that's a little bit of a better story. Because I'm getting a little depressed. Hey, hang on out there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and all that good stuff. Don't take off. It's good. It's going to get good now. Okay, it's really going to get good. We'll be right back after this break from Buddy Martin and Jeffrey Meldon on this Meldon Law Monday on the Buddy Martin Show.
Jeffrey, look forward to a great 2024 and being together with you and your wife to celebrate some special occasions.
Yeah, and Buddy, I want to tell our Gator fans out there that Todd Golden is the real deal. Okay. in 1 year, he's put together this really tall team that's going to out-rebound just about everybody that they play. They've got some great shooters. We got 3 or 4, guards in there that are awesome.
Yep.
And I predict that the Gators are going to be a ranked team by the end of the season, and that you wait and see. They're going to make some noise around March Madness.
Sounds exciting. You'll be right there to report from courtside. Give us the inside scoop, Jeffrey.
Yeah, and January 6th is Meldon Law Day. We're playing Kentucky at the O-Dome. It's Meldon Law Day. We've got special shirts for everybody.
Giving stuff away again, like you do all over the place. You're giving stuff away.
But it's going to be it's Kentucky, buddy. What do you got to say?
What are you going to do? Be a big night.
The home game against Kentucky is always the big game of the year.
Maybe I'll come sit with you tonight. So,
okay, January 6th, buddy.
All right, Jeffrey, have a happy holiday season. The best to you. And don't forget, Meldon Law, they do not back down. And they wish you a happy holiday season.
Well, obviously, January 6th is come and gone. But in the wonderful magic world of TV, we're just going to pretend it was awesome, and they didn't take a horrific loss by 3 points. It was by 3 points. Ah, my light. It was by 3 points, wasn't it, Franz? The loss was 3 points on January 6th?
Yeah, something like that.
3 or 4, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, whatever it was. This music right now is straight up for you, Loren Meadows. Actually, it's for Marsha. I feel like it's the chill hip hop that she would be down with.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
probably
tight.
more me than. But
oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What is Marsha like? What's her jam? What's her go-to?
She's a Prince girl. You play
Prince. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I heard that exiting. I heard that when we exited the Buddy Martin Show wedding the other day. It was Purple Rain as I walked out of the reception there.
Oh,
Congratulations, by the way, to Buddy Martin and his new bride as they got hitched this weekend. Franz, I love you, but I want to hear from Loren as well. So, Loren, talk to us about what happened tonight at the O-Dome. Yeah, I assume.
Unfortunately, the women's basketball team dropped another close one. Just struggling to get over the hump, man. I mean, close losses at Tennessee, at Vanderbilt, and another one tonight at home. They had about 3 or 4 people with the flu, so it was kind of interesting. Leilani Correa, who's the former transfer from St. John's, went for 33. Almost had the Michael Jordan type kind of flu game, and what's really hurt this basketball.
Oh, I remember the flu game. That was such a great game.
Yeah, is the loss of Rashea Cow, who's day to day, but has been out with a knee injury. No prognosis long term, but she's a 6'6", former 5-star, was really starting to come into her own, and they were really starting to play a really good inside-out game with her and Aaliyah Matharu and Leilani Correa. So tonight, they just struggled really down low. Gave up some key offensive rebounds. A couple times, Mississippi State even shot air balls, and those are hard to rebound, Franz. Those are.
I shoot a lot of those. Okay, so I know how to follow your shot. Okay,
and it wasn't the best officiated game either. I mean, they did a nice job of calling the fouls within the where plays are made at the basket, but a lot of handsy calls I think weren't called and things like that. I don't know if you watched the French, you may agree, but it just one of those things. And I spoke with Kelly after the game, and not that she's frustrated, but I think Kelly, what people will find is Kelly really cares about those girls, and I think that's going to pay dividends for her down the road. They got a really good recruiting class coming in, and I don't know if you saw this past weekend, they opened up the Unlaced docuseries, and they're going to do every single member of the team. So they're going to do, they went back, talked to the parents, former coaches, and every single young lady is going to have an opportunity to have their story told. And there's some really interesting stories. I know one that's, coming out on Faith Duke, and being kind of out of place. She's from British Columbia. And, you don't see a lot of people that look like her and things like that. So I know that was one. And then Gerard Warren, whose family went through, I think, Katrina pretty rough, when
Mm-hmm.
the country was hit. So I mean, it's one of those things where Florida basketball, as far as the women are concerned, only can go up. But I mean, they've got, Amira O'Neal. Obviously, you probably see a little bit more Shaq this time next year because
how's she playing? I haven't even watched much of it.
She's a wing. She's pretty good, but and then they have what's the girl? This girl out of Minnesota is the top ranked recruit, Liv McGill, who's the number 16 player, is the highest rated recruit ever in the history of Florida basketball. She's a 5'9" point guard, really good player. She's from Minneapolis, like Coach Finley. So I mean, they've got some girls coming that I think are really going to be, in the mix. They'll be young, but the talent level is definitely increasing in Florida. And I think with the transfer portal and some of those things, I mean, really both teams are really starting to cut their teeth. And in the next couple of years, I think Ty Golden will be where he wants to be. And I think Kelly will too. So,
well, it's impressive that you attend women's basketball in general, because I'm I'm not a fan of the sport, but
I coached it. Tammy Jackson, the best player in the history of Florida basketball, was my girl. Played for me.
I heard the crowds are pretty good out there. I heard they're decent.
They get the one thing, and this is something me and you talked about, Brenden, and Franz knows too. And then we'll just leave it at this. I'm not going to mention any other programs. But there is something to allowing people into your program and opening up, and allowing people to get to know you. And it changes the narrative a little bit. And that's something that I think Kelly has done a good job with, is really opening up her program, making herself and her team available. And I think that's increased, like you said, the attendance and things like that. I mean, the people are starting to notice. They play a fun brand of basketball, and she gives them the green light. So I mean, I think they're coming along. I mean, it's going to take time. I mean, it's not UConn, it's not Tennessee, but you guys probably remember the times where Tennessee team coming here and beat them by 50. Where now. Those games are close ball games with 5 minutes, really with everybody but South Carolina. And I mean, they're beating people, South Carolina's beating. But I mean, you look at it now, even with the upper echelon, the SEC, Florida is giving them fits. So, I think they're about a year away from really getting over the hump. But, I think it's a nice, it kind of shows what a program and how you can endear yourself to a fan base if you kind of open things up, if you know what I mean.
Here's the thing that happens. We're willing to give Kelly Ray Finley 4 or 5 years to build the program up, and we're not willing to do that with football or.
I mean, come on, that apples to oranges, though. I mean,
the point is
there's no way you can compare the two, though. I mean, you got 98,000 people in the swamp.
Yeah,
you got what? Maybe 1,000 watching a basketball game. You know what I mean? The difference is
but programs
massive.
have to be built from the ground up. And that's the point of the whole thing is we're willing to let the basketball but we're not willing to give the same leverage, the ability to build. That's the point. The ability to build. And
I think you
having been a coach, you've got to have time to build. You have to.
Yeah, but don't what you just said, Loren, the opening up of the program.
If you showed them the blueprints every now and then, though, if you showed them,
makes you endearing. Yeah,
if you showed them the blueprint, would you think that would help a little bit with the narrative?
Unquestionably.
No question.
One of the things that is missing is any level of connect with the community, with our football program.
100%.
People do not know our coaches. People don't know Billy Napier. I'll give Dan Mullen credit. Dan Mullen would sit there and give you a 30-minute press conference and then hang around with the writers and stuff like that.
It's in everything that you do. Like they say, like Radio 101 back in the day, the way you develop an audience is you're transparent, that you talk about your life, like, you know, a la Howard Stern. I mean, name a litany of people that did talk radio where you feel like you can relate to the pain or you can celebrate in the victory, right? That you're bought in a little bit more emotionally in that process. Now that's a double-edged sword. Look at Dan Mullen. I mean, both sides of that argument too, because they'll turn on you really quick. But Billy certainly has sort of cut that off, and a lot of coaches have cut that off. It is throughout the entire college football sort of landscape. I don't know a lot of coaches, maybe Lane Kiffin, but does he really reveal that much? I mean, if you follow him on Twitter, you get to see he goes to Buc-ee's, and you feel a little bit, more
Hey
connected.
man, I'm just saying, I think that there's something, you got to play each situation different. And like Fran said, I agree. I'm not on the fire Billy Napier train, but it's all about perception. And you can close the meeting doors and have the secret meetings, but you better come out with a plan that looks better than what they've had. And I think that's what Franz is saying from the standpoint of you have to, no, we don't know week to week what kind of football team is going to show up against anybody. And I think that's because it's just the same thing where, I give Franz credit. When I first met Franz and he was doing Buddy's show, he was on it because he had that information. You knew what was going down every Saturday. You knew it. Whereas this is more like we're left to whatever knowledge we previously had to really show what it is. And you got good people like the Franz Beards and the Buddy Martins that really had you enlightened on what was going on with the program. And that's just kind of ceased right now.
Well, do you think, let me ask you this, Franz. Of course I read like everyone else reads, X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. We have groups and sort of endless, but speculation now, as I'm playing this game, speculation now is that Billy is he went to work on defense first, right? Because that was the big, deal, right? Like defense was obviously the major issue, especially at the end of the season. But now he says that he's going to go to work on offense. Now, Loren, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I'm not going to say what you say. I will let you say it. But does that mean we're going to see an offensive coordinator? Does that mean that that's going to be something, or is Billy not going to get an offensive coordinator?
Well, who's going, me or Fred? So
go, Loren, because I'm totally pigeonholing you, so I would like you to go first.
Well, if you, once again, and France knows this, if you do the math, they don't have the positions to have an offensive coordinator. Somebody has to be.
Show me your work. Show me your math works like the teacher. I want to see the work.
You have a quarterback coach who is Billy Napier. You have a running back coach who's Jabbar Jaluk. You have a tight ends coach who's Russ Callaway. You have a receiver coach, Billy Gonzalez. And then you have 2 offensive line coaches. So, and then you had the position, but then you hired Ron Roberts. So you could have slid Austin Armstrong down, made him linebacker coach. You'd have had the position. But we also are at the point where now, signing day is what? 2 weeks from now, the final signing day. And I know the coaches are out on the road now. So you got to bring a coach back from the road, let him go, and then you got to find an offensive coordinator. Anybody who would be your offensive coordinator, once again, is out on the road recruiting, or he's gainfully unemployed, as Franz likes to say. Now, then when they come back off of signing day, then for those of you that know about coaching, you start doing your installs and things like that as a coach. Right,
because you got spring football.
What are we going to run? What are we going to change? What do we want to install? You got to have everybody in place by then. So here's what I'm saying. If you're going to bring in a whole new offensive coordinator, either he's going to run the exact same offense that Billy Napier's running with the same terminology, or as we all know, there will not be an offensive coordinator unless somebody decides to take another job. And the only jobs that could be coming up there could be jobs still because there are some staffs getting filled out, but there will be some NFL opportunities in the next few weeks. If those happen, then yes. But I'm going to say 30% yes, 70% no. The offensive staff is in place.
Francis?
If I were going to make a change, believe it or not, it wouldn't be necessarily to the offensive staff per se, as far as bringing in a coordinator. I'd find me a special teams coordinator, because I think Florida wins. I think Florida is 8-4 with any kind of special teams play in 2023. The special teams killed them. And I'm more concerned with what's going on with special teams right now. Loren, you've made a good point in the past that Florida has scored enough points. I did a statistical comparison a couple days ago of every offense and defense since Dan Mullen in 2018. The defense, last time we had a good defense was 2019, and that was a top 5 defense nationally under Third and Grantham. And everybody soured on him in 2020 when, quite frankly, we were scoring points by the buckets, and we got enough stops to win games until we got down there to the end. And you could argue that the Cotton Bowl loss, forget that, but the LSU and Alabama loss, you could argue they were as much about the offense making stupid mistakes with the offense as you could the defense. You could. But that aside, the defense has got to get better. They've scored enough points. The defense is the one. If they're a touchdown better, this is what Ron Roberts did at Auburn. Auburn went from a losing season to 6-7 and could have been 8-5. Literally could have been 8-5 because Ron Roberts improved that defense by a touchdown. You give the Gators a touchdown a game defensively in the last 2 years, and you know what their record is? 18-7. Are we having any kind of argument that Billy Napier is on the hot seat if he's 18-7 as opposed to 11-14? And the answer, of course, is no. We're not. So where does the improvement come from? It's got to come from the defensive side of the football. Your offense can score more points if the defense can get off the damn field.
No question.
So let me throw this out there too. Most staffs, and I don't understand why this isn't the case. Most staffs, if they're constructed the way that Florida is constructed, usually take a position coach and give them that title of special teams coordinator. What kind of has me is that the special teams or whoever's responsible for the special teams is not considered one of the on the field coaches. Now, certainly they could coach, in practice and kind of handle things, but I still think you need to identify somebody on that staff. For instance, Jabbar Jalouk was a former, high school head coach, but even, Billy Gonzalez has been around a while. But somebody on defense to be given that title of special teams, I think, that would help. Now, like Fran said, if you don't stop anybody, it still doesn't matter. But I think having an on the field coach prevents Arkansas from happening at the end of the game, where somebody is on a headset talking about things. This is the situation. Oh, we just got a first down. Everybody stay put, just that kind of thing. And that just makes a difference. So, I think that, like Fran said, the offense is obviously the offense has its issues, and just like every team does, but I'm with Franz, if they get the stops and can find a way to create some type of field flip with special teams, I think that they have the talent to 9-3 and 8-4 you to death. For now.
What, you don't think the can with the string going down the line of the sidelines, like trying to play like, hey, field goal.
What happened at the end of the what happened at the end of the Arkansas game is utterly inexcusable at any level past seventh grade. About eighth grade, you ought to know better too.
I almost can't talk about it. Real quick, I want to tell everybody about Titan MRI. Titan MRI are focused on you, the patient, having a great customer service experience. They know most people lead a busy life, and although with regular business hours, they are available by appointment, evenings, and weekends in order to meet your scheduling needs. Their MRI equipment is modern, and their MRI unit has one of the largest bores or opening from any of the newer, higher strength MRI units, because those things get really sketchy, by the way, and very uncomfortable. At 71 centimeters, it allows for a comfortable scanning and potential claustrophobic and for larger patients who generally cannot tolerate the smaller closed units. Its noise level is 75% quieter than any other units in its class, and patients previously having experience with MRI scans have commented that they've enjoyed the music, but really they don't need the earphones because it's so quiet. Titan MRI. Check them out at titanmri.com, and they are a proud sponsor at the Buddy Martin Show. Okay, so final.
I need the headphones because I'm claustrophobic. So,
dude, I'm telling you what, I don't care. You could be the Grand Canyon in there, dude. I need beats. All right, listen, Grimsley, 4-star cornerback, former Alabama. I don't get too excited about recruiting. That's not really my thing, but seemingly Alabama's sort of dealing with some of their fallout, a la Nick Saban taking his retirement. How do you guys, how much do you think he plays into that cornerback position, and how does that affect this defense? Does he play in 2024?
Absolutely. This is all hands on deck in the secondary in 2024.
Yeah, well, I mean, should we go back to Utah? Should we just game one of the whole flipping season? I mean, I'm traumatized.
It's called, they sit there and say, which one of you guys can cover somebody and which one of you guys can actually tackle somebody? That's what it starts out with. And yeah, he's going to play.
Should
the defensive tackle they got from that they got coming from Texas that got released from his letter of intent. He is going to play. He is an absolute stud nose tackle. He's 6'4", he's 320 already, and he is just an absolute beast coming off the football. He's going to play already. Joey Slackman's going to play already. One of the things that was overlooked, I got it in today's column, Manny Nunnery decided he's coming back. And the reason Manny Nunnery is coming back is because Ron Roberts became the inside linebackers coach. And Ron Roberts has convinced him, by golly, it's worth staying here. Think about this. If the defense is a touchdown better this year, do they win 6 ball games? Do they win 7 maybe? Yeah.
I mean, look, does the schedule matter? I feel like it matters.
If they play at the same level they played at this past year, their season is going to be disastrous. It's going to be a 4th straight losing season. If they're a touchdown better, could that mean 7-5? People might, if Billy Napier goes 7-5 next year with that schedule, they're going to say he's the SEC Coach of the Year, bar none.
No question. What do you think? What do you think, Loren? You think he plays? Do you think he has? You think he has impact?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm with Franz. I mean, on defense, it's full on. Everybody getting a taste. Everybody getting a chance. L.J. McCray. Everybody getting a chance. I mean, you have. I mean, when you talk about historically bad.
Yes.
And France is the number historically bad. And you can actually back it up with empirical data. I mean,
Yeah.
you're bad. It ain't about eye test. It's actually you are bad. And we all got eyes too.
Listen, I can't help it because it's a great segue. But this picture right here just feels Michael Jackson. If you're talking about you bad, like I feel like that's Michael Jackson right there. Like who's bad? I'm bad, right?
Well,
maybe a different hat.
Right. Well, I'm gonna tell you, man. It's like I said. I think and I know this young man's father. It just some guys don't ever pan out, and Jalen Kimber had a rough time, and things didn't work out, and that kind of thing. But I think it'll be interesting to see if Will Harris can bring the 2020 Jason Marshall back. Can he bring, or to a 21 bring that guy back that was playing the ball in the air? He didn't throw on him, things like that. I think what you're going to see is a more cohesive defensive staff. I really, and I've said this since about the second or third week, something just was not right there. That was a disconnected defense. So hopefully having Ron Roberts, his familiarity with Armstrong, having Will Harris from the NFL, the new D-line guy's name escapes me from Tulane, but, comes with a really good resume. Everybody's on the same page. And the transfers and things like that, I think that because guys like Slackman and some of those, I mean, he got a motor, man, and he's smart, obviously. And I mean, I think like I said, it can't go anywhere but up. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what that defense looks like, and they'll be tested right away. I mean, Miami's got their issues, but it will be, we'll see what happens.
Well, here's the thing to think about, too. In 2019, Florida finished 9th in the country in total defense, 304 yards per game they gave up. That's not too bad, 304 yards per game. They finished this past year in total defense. The Gators gave up 382 yards per game. That's let's say 7 first downs a game. 7 first downs a game. Is this a better if they take those 7 first downs a game away? Do you think that we're talking Billy Napier is having problems, or are we saying Billy Napier, look at what he's doing here? The Gators are on the rise. There's a fine line between on the rise and you got to go. There really is a fine line between it. Wow. And sometimes it's a matter of Ron Roberts being a touchdown better at Auburn. Can he do the same thing with this team? Sometimes, it's getting off the field. Sometimes it's did Third and Grantham forget how to coach defense, or did all of a sudden he got caught short of players? Another question that we got to ask too, because that 2019 defense, 304 yards a game, that's ferocious. That is absolutely ferocious. That 2019 defense, you look at what they did as far as scoring defense. They gave up 15.5 points a game. Think about that. 15.5 points a game. This last team gave up 30. Double that. Jeez. And we're wondering why it is that they lost ball games. Okay. Well, in 2019, they gave up 15.5 points a ball game, and that's despite giving up 42 at LSU. Holy cow.
It's certainly a game of is, and I'm not a shoulda, coulda, woulda guy. I think it all is, sort of connected, but I hear what you all are saying. But I would like to say that we are 9 minutes of time, and I'm ready to go to bed.
Now
So it's milk and cookies time for Daddy. I'm heading out. Loren, Mr. Meadows, you're going to join me tomorrow. I'm here all week. Ladies, folks, I'm here all week.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, you're stuck with me, but I've been very, very blessed to have these two gentlemen that are going to have my
I'm ready
back.
to roll. We got. I think I'm gonna watch the men's game from home on Wednesday, or I don't know, take the biscuit.
We got to have you here. I'm sorry. We gotta have you at the ball yard on Wednesday, because that is Mississippi State. That is a quad 1 win.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, we'll talk. Now, don't give away tomorrow's show now, Franz. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow we're going to talk hoops. Some good guests coming on to our maybe. Franz is good, lining them all up. He's being all things to all people. I do want to wish you all a very good evening and good night and all of that good stuff. And I appreciate it. Loren, have a great night. Good night to you, sir. I come around the horn. I'm just getting rid of him.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all.
Now it's kind. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille.
See you next time. KEY. Why? Because we
Why? We love you. And that's Franz Beard. Good night, Iron Duke. Check him out on GatorbaitMedia.com. Subscribe today. He writes every day. He is the Iron Duke, and he is my very, very, very good brother. Good night, sir. We'll talk to you probably 400 times before tomorrow. He's Franz Beard. I want to say thanks to all you folks out there for trudging through. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on the way out if you haven't done that. Make sure that you subscribe to Gatorbait if you haven't done so. All that stuff's super important. On the way out, we always want to say thanks to our guests, Franz, and thanks to Shane Matthews, and thanks to Loren Meadows. And real quickly, can't walk out of here without saying how much we appreciate our fine sponsors over at Renstar Medical Research. Really a great outfit, group of people and friends that have been with us from the very beginning. Renstar Medical Research is a research site located right in the beautiful heart of North Central Florida, one of the fastest growing retirement areas in the country. Renstar's research staff works with local physicians in a private practice and community hospital settings to provide a multidisciplinary team focused on meeting enrollment goals and while ensuring strict regulatory guidelines. Renstar Medical Research, proven reputation providing high quality clinical data and adhering to industry established clinical research guidelines. Renstar has participated in more than 700 clinical research studies since the founding in the 1990s. Renstar staff has more than 225 years of combined experience with executing clinical research trials and participated in phase 1 through phase 6 research. Check them out, folks, at renstar.net. I think the buddy and I always do this. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Did my best with that. Folks on the chat room, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate y'all. Please join us tomorrow night. We'll talk some hoops. We're going to have some pretty good guests on. I'm going to keep trying to fill it up for the big Buddy Martin. And congratulations to Dad and his new bride up there in Panama City. He's going to be down here this week. And he will be back soon. All of his loyal fans, don't worry. You're not gonna be stuck with me just yet. But you'll have to endure this week. So I'm Brenden Martin. Want to say, as I always do, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and of course, as always, whether you think so or believe me or not, go Gators.